when you sit back and you don't do the needful, and you go out there and start complaining that, oh, this leader is not doing well, this one is not doing, what have you done to make that choice count? Because you have that right that when you cast the ballot, you can stand by it to ensure it counts.
Talking about ensuring that the vote counts, I hear that we have our correspondent Godwin Agwam live for us in Nasarawa State. Good to see you, Godwin.
It's good to see you too. It's windy here, but I'm standing right in front of polling unit 007 of Agaza Ward in Kiana local government. Of course, the election that is going on here is to fill the vacant seat at the Nasarawa State House of Assembly for the Kiana constituency. There's a large turnout of voters in the 5 polling units where these elections are being conducted. In fact, here where I am now, voting and accreditation has ended. They are just only waiting for sorting and counting to begin before they start theirs. But in other polling units we have visited, there's a large number of voters, so they are still voting, and they are expected to commence sorting and counting the moment all the voters have been able to exercise their franchise. One thing that is important to note here, why is this by-election holding here, is because why the by-election here is holding here in Agaza Ward, is because this Court of Appeal cancelled or annulled the election of the March 18, 2023, because they said that the votes that was casted here, that the person who won the election, who was said to have won the election, won with only 65 votes. So, according from their own judgment, they feel that the number of persons who were disenfranchised from this ward were more than the number of vote difference. So, which is, we have over 2,300 registered voters from this ward here in Agaza. So the Court of Appeal feel that the number of vote difference, and of course the number of persons who were disenfranchised, that of the number of persons who were disenfranchised outweighs that of the vote difference. So that's why a rerun was ordered in this place. So as I can tell you, everywhere is peaceful so far. The security personnel are seen everywhere, ensuring that there's maintenance of law and order in the 5 polling units where this election are ongoing. And it's expected that the moment voting ends, sorting and counting will begin.
All right, Godwin, from what I see on the screen, you seem to have a large number of voters coming out to, exercise their rights during these elections as compared to other places. Can you tell us how that turned out?
Well, it's important for the people here in Agaza Ward, because this election has a lot to say, and it's going to make a difference in the Nasarawa State House of Assembly. At the moment, with the majority, the ruling party has 9 members in the State House of Assembly, and of course, the leading opposition party here has 9 members in the State House of Assembly. So this election will determine who will have the majority seats in the State House of Assembly. That's why there's a large number of voters here. They are here to exercise their franchise so that they can make impact at the National State House of Assembly.
But with the voting ending this early, does it seem like we should be expecting the results anytime today?
Yeah, of course. So with what we are seeing here, that the voting has ended here in this polling unit, but although voting is still ongoing in other polling units, but with the large number of voters and with the INEC who came out early, to conduct this election, we're expecting that any moment from now, voting will end and sorting and counting will begin.
Have you been able to speak with any voters regards exercising their rights? How do they feel about doing that, and what are their expectations as regards the outcome of this election?
Yes, we spoke with some voters earlier when the election commenced, and they feel excited, they feel happy, knowing that the election materials arrived in good time, and of course, they were able to exercise their franchise without anybody interfering with their rights. So they feel happy, and they are expectant that, yes, with the process so far, they're expecting that the election will be free and fair.
All right, thank you very much. That's our correspondent live for us in Nasarawa State, Godwin Agwaba. Thank you for joining us at this time. Now let's return here in Lagos, where the resident electoral commissioner, Professor Ayo Salami, that's the resident electoral commissioner for INEC, is standing by to give us an update on the exercise. Good to see you join us at this time. Well, Professor, if you can hear me clearly, I must say congratulations to you that the only election that we held today in Lagos is a by-election as a result of someone resigning and moving forward in his career. This is somewhat an approval that the last election that was conducted was largely fair because the court validated what you conducted. But then let's also use this opportunity to educate Nigerians on why we are having this election and not a rerun.
Thank you very much. This is a by-election and not a rerun election. A rerun election is the one that is declared by the court as a result of non-compliance one way or the other. But when we are talking about by-election, we are talking about a situation whereby somebody has died or whereby somebody has resigned. But in the case of Surulere Federal Constituency 1 in Lagos State, the former occupant of the seat is the current Chief of Staff of the President, that is Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and since he has taken up the appointment as the Chief of Staff, he resigned his appointment in the National Assembly, and therefore there was a need to conduct a rerun, and that is why we're having, to conduct a by-election, and that is why we're having this election today.
From what we see on the streets of Surulere 1, as reported by our correspondent in that area, there seems to be a low level of compliance as regards movement. I expect that everyone should be at the polling unit to exercise their rights. But before you answer that question, I also want to talk about the fact that there have also been concerns about the cost of running these elections. Why should we leave the change of people's mind to running another election? Do you subscribe to the Electoral Act being changed in the sense that maybe we could have a runner-up come up as the new leader, or we have a representative from the party?
Well, I think the issue of whether I want to change the Electoral Act or want to amend any provision of the Electoral Act is not the duty of the Independent National Electoral Commission. I think that is in the purview of the National Assembly and the other stakeholders. So to that effect, I will leave it to the necessary organs of the government to consider or not consider if they want to amend that. But with respect to the compliance with the restriction of movement, we know that even in the general election, when there is total restriction, it's not everybody that goes to vote. And normally in by-elections, usually you have the level of awareness or the level of the participation a bit lower than the general election. But by and large, I think we are good in Surulere Federal Constituency as far as to this election is concerned.
I'll also need to ask you if you are, impressed with the conduct of security men so far, and if you can also talk to us about the substantive compliance with the restriction of movement today from residents of Surulere 1 constituency.
Well, I think the security agencies, they are done very well. The arrangements excellent. And as far as the area that where the elections are going on, the restriction has been effective. But in other areas, people are going their normal business. But that has not affected the election so far.
That's also the issue of, people do not know what areas are Surulere 1, Surulere 2, and what are the feelers you are getting in terms of voter turnout today? From our correspondent, they have reported low voter turnout. I also heard in some areas they had to employ the use of town criers to, ask people to come out to exercise their rights.
Yes, we heard that the turnout has been low, not as high as expected. But like I mentioned earlier on, this is nothing to worry about, and it doesn't depart radically from the pattern of the election we had in the past. The normal pattern is that in the general election, the turnout is higher than either a rural or by-election. So what we are having today is not unusual, but what is most important is that there has been compliance with the processes, with the Electoral Act, with the guidelines, and then the voters have been very peaceful. The political gladiators, they are conducted very creditably, and then the whole process is going very well, and everybody is happy with it.
All right, Professor, can you also, confirm to us what time the election voting is to end today? And can you explain why the restriction of movement will still linger till about 6 p.m.?
Well, the election will end by 2:30 p.m., but you know that by law, for people who are online as of 2:30, if you get to the polling unit by 2:29, you will still be allowed to vote, even though we are closing the vote by 2:30. But those who are on the queue by 2:30 must vote before they go. So it does not necessarily mean that we are going to leave or close and stop people from voting at 2:30. We won't allow anybody to join the queue after 2:30. But those who join the queue before 2:30 will still be allowed to vote. And after voting, there will be sorting at the polling unit, there will be counting of the votes, and then the clearation of the result at that unit. So this will take time, and that is why it is important to restrict the movement beyond 2:30 when the voting is ordinarily expected to end.
All right, finally, before I let you go, because it's almost 2:30 p.m., since this is just one federal constituency, are we to expect results before the end of today?
Hopefully, we expect that the results should be ready by the end of today, since it's only one federal constituency.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Well, I've been speaking with the resident electoral commissioner here in Lagos State, Professor Ayo Salami. Thank you for joining us on the news at this time.
It's my pleasure.
Well, Emmanuel, you heard what the REC had to say. We're expecting the result of Surulere Constituency 1 if the voting ends at about 2:30 p.m. today. What do you have to say as regards is concerned about leaving it to the National Assembly on raising concerns over cost of running this election?
Definitely, the National Assembly, we have to, through every election, there is a cost for that election, and they need to amend the law and to ensure that if you are spending this particular money for this election, all elections in Nigeria has what you need to spend on it. So you can't just wake up and say, okay, we are reducing, like the presidential election, if what you have to spend is about 10 million, we are reducing it to 5 million. You cannot just come out and say that. But one thing I was also expecting him to say is the use of the beavers. We didn't hear from any of our correspondents in Lagos talking about malfunctioning of that particular machine. So it shows that INEC today, with what we saw on ground, shows that, well, I won't say that.
I mean, they released the materials really early.
Until 2:30, when we see that the election has ended, before Nigerians will start giving their commendations and what we have seen as journalists on ground.
Let's also talk about security. You say the security have tried their best in ensuring we've not had any case of violence today.
Well, surprisingly,
for Surulere, that is a hotspot in Lagos, as compared to last year when you covered the election.
Maybe because it's just one constituency that we're having at the moment, and that's why, even with the low turnout, how do you expect to see those hoodlums coming out to perform one issue or the other? So, well, thank God there's no violence in this election as at this time, and we expect that at the end of the election, when the result will be out, all will be well in that particular constituency.
All right, we have our correspondent live for us in Plateau State. That's Funom Joshua. Funom, Thank you for joining us at this time. Can you talk to us about your assessment of today's voting process?
Thank you very much. The exercise so far so good here in Plateau State is moving smoothly, peacefully and orderly at the moment. We went around some of the polling units in the state capital, and then the exercise is just, peacefully as taught by some other quarters following the challenge of insecurity bedeviling some communities here in Plateau State. There's this perception that the election here might not really, hold peacefully. But what we are hearing and what we've seen so far, the exercise is peacefully at the moment. Apart from the challenge of low turnout from the electorates here, the exercise is peacefully, just that the turnout is very low. We went around over 6, 7 polling units. The turnout is not really encouraging at the moment. But then in terms of, the conduct, everything is moving peacefully at the moment. There is commendation on the part of the INEC. The officials of the INEC came early and they started, at the right time, the 8 o'clock stipulated time. They started at that time and everything is moving peacefully. Their materials, the machines they are using, as well as the sensitive and non-sensitive materials, everything is just, working, in a normal way as expected. So here in Plateau State, precisely, we are here in Jos South local government area, one of the areas where the election is holding. Everything is moving peacefully. Here in this polling unit, as you can see, the turnout is not really encouraging. Like I said, it's very low, as well as other places we went round to see. Earlier, 3 days ago, there's this call from IPAC that the political parties might not really, they called for the boycott of the election from the political parties following the removal of one of the political parties, from participating. And then so earlier we're looking at probably that call from them might have caused the delay. But then, again, some other people that we talked to them, a stakeholder said, because of the previous experience with INEC, that is what actually caused the delay in that particular area. But then, so far so good. The exercise here in Plateau State is moving peacefully, and we are hoping it will continue to the end of the exercise.
I agree with you, Fudom. It's looking peaceful, but quite scanty. Can you confirm to us what time the election, the voting will end today at that polling unit?
Okay, it's expected to end 5 o'clock. It started 8 o'clock. 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Started 8, and then hoping that the exercise, with the way it's moving now, people are coming to cast their vote and go. We are hoping that the stipulated time, 2 o'clock, they will end the process here in Plateau State. Of course, so far, so many people have voted in this particular place where we are at the moment. They said, some people came and, cast their vote and left. But then the challenge, like I said earlier, is a low turnout from them.
All right, thank you very much, Funam. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Back to you, Emmanuel. Talking about a particular party being disqualified from contesting for this election. Does this raise concern to you about people having a mind of their own or being influenced
IPAC,
by?
that is the Inter-Party Advisory Council, has been speaking tough concerning that particular development, saying they will boycott this particular rerun election, which is taking place in Plateau North and also Bassa North, just North Federal Constituency. But with what our correspondent is saying at the moment, it's also a low turnout. He also attributed the fact that maybe because of that particular order, that's why they are not seeing a large turnout of voter in this particular state concerning this election. So we wait to see the end of this, and the result will definitely come out. And we know after this, well, I don't know, Nigerians, until we see that the outcome, before the political parties and their politicians will know the next step before they start arguing about the irregularities in this particular election. So what we have at the moment is a low turnout, and voting is expected to end, according to what our reporter is saying, is 2 p.m. That in Lagos is about 2:30. So why the disparity in
numbers?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get back to that, but also need to also talk about the fact that is it rather than blaming INEC for this, blaming lack of information and misinformation, or maybe Nigerians are not aware. Is there a possibility that they're aware, but some of the current economic situations that we are facing, Nigerians are so busy right now not to vote?
Yeah, well, that may also affect. I won't preempt their minds because they have their reasons for not coming out to cast their ballot. But when we look at the situation in the country, especially in Plateau State, the issue of insecurity on the Plateau, some might have their reasons not even to come out to cast their ballot at the moment. But the exercise, according to Funam Joshua, is
quite peaceful.
Peaceful at the moment.
Yes.
I keep saying that when election is here, some Nigerians will always say that we hardly hear issue about insecurity. Why is it that places that you term as hotbeds for insecurity is always very calm when election is around? Is it that some politicians or some people decided to say, okay, let's keep calm and ensure peace reign, and after the election we can go back and start committing?
Are you saying some external factors are influencing the outcome of elections? Is that what you're saying?
Because you had Fulham, they're saying that you and some people were not even expecting for the election to hold because of the insecurity in that axis.
So now, talking about low voter turnout today, do you expect that this will reflect the interest of the people in the long run? We recorded this across many states in Nigeria, just a few persons voting out of hundreds. Is this expected to reflect what the people want, or we just have to, go with the flow?
We definitely have to go with the flow, because if you don't come out to cast your ballot, why will you come out again and start complaining that you didn't make the right choice or the right decision? So when INEC is saying this is the date for the rerun election or the by-election, definitely you have that right as a citizen of Nigeria to go out there and cast your vote. So for you not coming out, it's your choice. But Nigerians still have the time now. It's still about
we still have about 30 minutes for those
for that of
in
Plateau.
Lagos.
For that of Plateau is about 20 or 25 minutes for that of Plateau. And in Lagos, you still have close to
an hour.
So you can still go out there.
Well, talking about Lagos, we have our correspondent standing by, Ola Wako, for us in Surulere 1. Ola, thank you for joining us. Can you give us a situation report where you are right now?
Okay, thank you, Olamide. After we spoke this morning, I've been to quite a number of, wards and polling units to, assess the situation and to see the level of compliance to the by-election voting today. And so far, I've been to a number of wards. At the moment, I am at Ward G, where that's polling unit 009, and I also have another polling unit very close to me here, which is 045. That's the particular polling unit I'm standing, that is right behind me, is where Fuad Atonda, one of the candidates, actually cast his ballot. And I can tell you a few things have been observed so far. For the places I've been to, it's been peaceful, it's been free, it's been fair. But one observation that is quite obvious is the fact that there's low turnout of voters compared to the number that I reeled out, the statistic that I reeled out this morning about the expectation of 121,111 expected voters that are meant to come out to cast their ballot today. For the places I've been to, it's still, this is just 1:30, and we're expected to end by 2:30 or thereabouts. And if you can see, if my cameraman can pan around, the place is a bit scanty, and this is more like what has happened across board. But after voting here, quite a number of people are still, hanging around to wait, and I will likely speak with some of the people that have, cast their ballots here. I have here with me.
My name is Tunde Ojunaga.
Okay, you've cast your ballots. What was the assessment?
I'm going to be honest, it's actually very smooth process, really. People came on. I mean, I've heard a few people think that, well, the turnout has been low, but to be honest, we haven't had a by-election in Sudan for a long time. That's one. And two, usually, for all of the by-elections I've been to, just to witness sometimes, the turnout is not always like this. So this is very impressive. Easy, smooth sale. People came in, did their accreditation straight away, and then just got the ball rolling pretty much. Yeah, so it's just good, amazing.
Okay. So beyond the turnout now, can you describe the process from the accreditation to how the INEC ad hoc staff attended to the
So one thing for me with the INEC staff today is, the customer service skills. They were very polite and very nice. So you walk in straight away. There's someone there to direct you to a list of places where you go and check your name. The name has been pasted there just to know your number. So then you take your voters card, and then with the number, and then you go and meet one of the INEC staff. And then that person confirms your name and your number and passes it on to someone. Then that other person prepares your voting sheet. In the meantime, they pass it to another person, and then you do a bit of capturing and thumbprinting just to make sure that your face is your face and your thumb is your thumb, really, which is pretty, expected anyway. And then biometric stuff, do you understand what I'm trying to say? And then you do that, and then basically, once everything is confirmed, it's all okay, pick up your ballot paper, and then you go to one of the cubicles, and then do your voting done, then dust that, put it in the ballot box, and then off you go, really. That's 800.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it was free to you?
As I said, it's a smooth sale. It's no age, no hiccup. Compared to the last election that we had as well, technical, issues was completely non-existent as well. So it's like a progress. You can see that, there's a forward movement in the process as well. So yeah, it's easy.
Thank you very much.
I'm very good. Thank you so much.
So also to add to that, for some of the streets that we've been to, there's quite a number of security operatives presence on some of the roads. You could see that barricades on some of the roads, and you will not actually have access to some places if you're not either a pressman or you are an INEC staff or you are maybe an observer. You will not have access. I have among some of the people that are also waiting. I really want to know why some of these voters are waiting. Hello.
Yeah, hi. I'm Blessing by name.
Okay. Since you voted, you've been waiting here for quite a while. Why have you decided to wait?
I'm actually waiting for the success of the results for my candidates. So I'm waiting for them to count the votes, then I can go.
How was the process like during your...
As you can see, you've been here. Everywhere is peaceful. Everywhere is calm. We've voted. Some have gone and some are waiting. So everywhere is calm and there's no problem.
So just like I said, this is the situation of things around most of the places we have been to. Cool, calm, just the low turnout, just like I said. And then some people have given reasons why some have not actually come out, and the fact that it is a by-election. But just like I said, Fuad Laguda voted here, and when he was asked, he said they've done their parts, and it's just left for the residents and voters to come out and exercise their franchise. Back to you, Olamide.
All right, Ola. I listened to your figures in the morning, the figures you read out in the morning, and you said that you were quite optimistic about the outcome of this election. But from what you have heard, from what you have seen, are you still optimistic at this time?
Well, regarding the turnout, if it's regarding the turnout, well, if this is just two, and the INEC staff are just relaxing, as it were, as you can see them, they are chilling. Just one or two persons will come in to exercise their franchise. Well, let's still be optimistic, but I doubt if we're still going to have a good number still coming out. I think what they are just polling unit 009, And right there, if my cameraman can pan, that is polling unit 045, and this is Ward G. I've also been to Ward F3, that's polling unit 025, that's Akirele Extension, amongst other polling units and wards that we have been to today. So this is the situation. So let's just still be optimistic, but it's been obvious. I doubt if they will be able to meet up to the 121,111 number of expected voters that are meant to participate at this by-election here for the seat of the Surulere Federal Constituency 1 happening here in Lagos.
All right, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. That's our correspondent at Surulere 1 Constituency, Olawakon. Thank you for joining us at this time. Well, we move to Benue State, where Maiwa Plateau is also standing by to give us a situation report on voting in that area. Glad to have you join us at this time.
It is nice meeting you. Nice joining you. Well, in Benue, how do I say it? It has been described as a low turnout, as residents are coming out, and something we should understand is that this Kuma constituency is an agrarian area. So residents, most of them would rather go to the farm early and then come back to cast their votes, or otherwise they don't know. But some have done carried out their functions and gone, but some are still doing that. But in summary, even the resident electoral commissioner has described it as a very low turnout. Though they've commended security agencies for doing their part, ensuring everyone, no one is interrupted so far in doing what they have come to do. And then anyone coming to cause trouble, of course, you can see that security men, both police of different agencies, the DSS, all are on ground to ensure that this exercise is carried out peacefully without no havoc created.
All right, Maiwa, what you just spoke to us about low voter turnout is happening across Nigeria currently, but from the live pictures I see from Benue State, we have a lot of men on the queue. Have you been able to converse with a few women that you saw at this polling unit?
Yes, I've spoken with some. Apparently, it's more like some of them were not properly educated on what to do, considering the fact that we've done this before. And then, like one of them came out saying the registration and also the voting shouldn't go hand in hand. It's almost created a conflict that was explained to that is to speed in the process. Also, we understand, we've seen people, these persons with disability, who had also come out to cast the vote without any interruption, without no disturbance. It wasn't in that based on its ability to vote. So I think everything so far is going well and smooth as far as Kuma constituency is concerned.
All right, finally, before I let you go, can you talk to us about how inclusive this process has been and how cooperative security agents have also been at the polling unit to ensure that people exercise their rights properly?
Well, the security agencies, I would say they are really in their numbers, and they've done really well so far concerning the police, the DSS, the civil defense. They're all on ground to ensure this is done peacefully. They are doing their survey, they are walking around, monitoring the environment, ensuring that persons that are likely to cause havoc in these elections are not in the vicinity, and if any signs that one or two might have yet to create, they do their job, I believe. So I think everything is going well, and they are doing their part as to ensuring security, and people are allowed to carry out their franchise easily without interruption of any form.
Okay, Maiwa, thank you for that update. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Back to Emmanuel. Let's go back to what Ola said in Surulere. We have party agents or people that have the interest of the party waiting
voters waiting
for
to see the
their votes
count at the end of the election, and also to see the sorting and the counting, which is a good development. If you wait to see the end of the election, and also to see the sorting and counting.
Quite different from what we saw in the last election, where we had people with interest, party interest, waiting. But from what I see, there's just two people.
No, maybe the camera angle did not give us orders.
Okay.
Because these are some people that is being curious to see what exactly these people are waiting for. And you have the woman there saying, I'm waiting to see the end of the election, the sorting and the counting, which it's your right. When you have gone out to cast your vote, you have that right to wait to see the outcome of that election. That's when you can come out and say, yes, I have done the needful. I have delivered my own polling unit to whoever political party that you are representing. So it's a welcome development. So when Nigerians can come out and say, well, let's stand by it to forestall any form of violence, to forestall any form of hijacking or ballot snatching, so they have that right to wait and see. But it's not, like I said earlier, the issue of voter turnout it's a general thing that we're experiencing in some of the states that they are having this election. You also recall that, like I said earlier, about the presidential and the National Assembly election, we have about 93 million people collected the voter cards. And at the end of that particular election, just about 24 million people voted. So, and when you look at that figure, the lowest in the history of democracy in Nigeria, about 26%, compared to what we had in 2019 election, where the presidential and National Assembly election were experiencing about 36% voter turnout. So it calls for questioning, what is INEC doing concerning mobilization, sensitization of Nigerians about you have the right to vote? Some people will tell you that we are not even aware. Don't be surprised that a lot of people got the awareness when there's this statement coming out from the police saying that there will be a total lockdown or restriction in Lagos. Do you understand? It is at that time people were wondering what exactly is happening. Why will Lagos be on lockdown because of just one federal constituency election? Not until the Lagos PRO now came out to clarify that no, the restriction will just only be in the Surulere constituency 1, and that's where the restriction will be. And some areas they won't even lock it down concerning Funshaw Williams and the likes.
Well, the low voter turnout is understandable for areas, especially on the plateau where they are facing insecurity areas like the northern part of Nigeria, basically. That's understandable what you said, but are we not also, merging the duty of INEC and the duty of the National Orientation Agency in informing the people about their rights? And I won't take it past Nigerians that they are not aware that elections will be holding today. You will be shocked about what's going on social media. Nigerians have the information of almost everything. So that's why we have to go back to the National Orientation Agency.
Yeah, definitely. You don't, let me start with the issue of the social media. A lot of people are, especially the young people are there. You don't win election on the social media. All your advocacy can just be on the social media. You cannot win election. You have the right to go out there. When I covered Surulere, there are some young people who were on the street playing football. And the question I asked them is, why are you not voting? They said, why are we voting? They said they are ready to play football. But the National Orientation Agency, like you rightly said, have that duty. Gone of those days that the awareness is everywhere, on the radio, TV, everywhere. But now, what's happening? For me, well, the presidency under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there should be a reject of that particular agency that will bring more awareness to Nigeria, especially to some critical development in Nigeria.
Well, finally, before we wrap up this segment, let's talk about your expectations for the outcome of the elections. Since the National Orientation Agency has left their duties to INEC to perform, let's talk about what you expect. Yes, with this low voter turnout. Do you think this will reflect
the mindset
of Nigerians, the interest of the people?
For everyone that win this particular election is the mindset of Nigeria. When you don't win, definitely you start saying it's a miscarriage of a decision. You start calling on the head of INEC. Well, I keep saying you have that right to go out there and cast your ballots.
Are there actually possibilities for petitions with the number we are even saying?
It's left for the political parties and the politicians to now see, okay, what are the challenges in this election? Like what our reporters have been covering. I said earlier that we've not had cases of malfunctioning of the beavers. The accreditation and voting went on simultaneously. People are not reacting that, oh, I was not, I've not been able to be captured by the beavers. So for me, whatever be the outcome, enough of all these litigations. Let's just go out there and accept and let them serve for the next 4 years before you come back to make another decision.
Well, for me, I think INEC has done pretty well for this election, railing out ad hoc materials, ad hoc staffs going out as early as possible, no form of violence, and we have not heard any complaints as regards the beavers, papers, or any other thing at the polling unit. But finally, we also expect that results should be coming out later today. We have our correspondent standing by at various areas to cover this and bring information to us. Finally, Emmanuel, before we wrap up this segment, I also want to raise the concern I raised with the resident electoral commissioner about subscribing to the fact that the Electoral Act should be reviewed. What do you think about this?
Well, with the judgment of the Supreme Court in some electoral matters, a lot of people have been calling that there should be a review of the Electoral Act to accommodate some of the lacunas that we have in that particular Electoral Act. So if that is what Nigerians want, there should be a review of that so that we can have another round of election in 2027, devoid of any form of challenges where some people will raise foul of some irregularities in that Electoral Act.
And that's how much we can take on this segment of the show. Still our special coverage of the rerun and by-elections going on in about 80 local government areas across 26 states in Nigeria. We're staying on this development, and we still have reports coming in. We expect voting to end in certain polling units at about 2 p.m. and some other polling units at about 3:30 p.m. We're staying on this development, and we hope to bring you much updates as they come. I'm Olamide Adeyemi, and I have my colleague with me, Emmanuel Ajayi. Thank you for your time on this program.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be handing over to my colleague Precious Amayo to continue the updates on this program. Thank you for joining us.